Hello, everyone. Kurt over here, and welcome back to another episode from Hope Federal Labs. Today, we're going into the last play of Fiore's manuscript. Of Fiore's third master part in the manuscript, and that is covering the counter to third master. Now, I'm going to talk about this a little bit later on here, but plays like this here are a big thing that reveal deeper concepts to me. So, for example, somebody who, to me, this reveals how much Abrazzari is the totality of the art. It also reveals to me how much Avisamento is perhaps a synonymous thing, at least it is to me, to the German concept of fühlen, about how we have the awareness or the sensations that tell us when something is there. These are all concepts right here that are very hard to teach people when it comes down to martial arts. And I believe it's plays like this right here specifically that really give credence to that. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. But we're going to start off here, of course, by looking at the technique itself. And with that being the case, let's get into it.
Okay, so finally, after all this rotation when it comes down to third Master Dagger, we are going to be talking about countering it. Now, I want to make something very abundantly clear about countering third Master Dagger. Third Master Dagger is something that has to happen on initial impact. It has to happen on initial contact. Otherwise, if that person starts rounding you about, it's now like you're trying to circle somebody to get out of the position. If the person's got control of your arm and you're one on right here and you're trying to reach over for this, you pretty much have already put yourself in a compromising situation, okay? So third Master Dagger, everything up until this point is counterable on initial crossing. And that's the important thing to make about this. I'm using this today rather than a padded one because one thing I found out is that sometimes with padded daggers, we're like, I don't know what this is really happening right here. You find out immediately what's happening when you use one of these right here or one of the trainers that we have otherwise. Because again, if you look at certain rondelles, those are discs in many cases, pizza cutters, if you will. And there's all sorts of things we can do there. So without further ado here, we're going to be talking about the third Master Dagger cover, right? So in this case right here, I'm going to be the one using the dagger. I shoot a crossbody here, and he's coming across. Now, the big thing that comes to this is if he grabs my wrist, I still have time. If he starts pushing me downward, I'm now in a position where I can't. If he comes across to my face with this, he steps behind me, I still have time. But I am now losing time here because as he starts to push my head behind me, now I'm out of time, okay? We're going to rotate around here so we can kind of see this a bit on the other side here. That way I'm talking to the camera. So again, I come across right here. In this case, I have time. He goes into third Master Dagger here where he starts pushing my face. I no longer have time to do this. Okay, so ultimately, like I said before, it's right off the first crossing. You've got to act as soon as possible. As soon as someone comes in, we're moving into this. And the big part about this is Fiore's response is not to push against this, but it is to reach towards the dagger. And now we're starting talking about blade grabs that we're seeing with this period. So I come in with this right here, I push across. The big thing here is if I have my pommel hand here, now it becomes a strength on strength thing. The only difference is I'm still operating with one arm. Because if I'm pushing it towards him, resist this, that's the part right here that he's going to control. He's got the elbow still. So me doing this right here is kind of pointless. Because, yeah, maybe I can put a little pressure. A little pressure, good. It doesn't take much, and now he's got control, and now I'm in a really bad situation. So the spot where Fiore tells us to grab is not the pommel, not the wrist, it's the blade itself. So coming in with this, popping across, we're going to reach over top. We're going to reach underneath or over top. I personally think that underneath right here, actually this is better, because what this allows us to do is, from this position, I'm allowed to and able to wrap and pull this thing down, or I can also step out and drag him down. Okay, I'm going very light with that. Big thing about that, again, is it makes sense. If I'm over top, and I retract what I said before, if I'm over top, I no longer have the leverage. I've got to come underneath of this. So here, I'm at this point, I'm going to shoot underneath into this. And I'm going to make, I'm going to make Mezzoporta di Ferro. Mezzoporta di Ferro double cross. So one of the dagger cross we see in the very beginning, but we're going to talk about making this position. If I have my hand over, that's the big part about this, can I still dig into his hand? Absolutely, it's there. The difference is, though, if he pushes this arm upwards with it, I lose all of that. Instead, if I come up underneath this way, if he pushes up on my hand, he's just making it worse for him. So that's a big part about this right here. This is talking about putting the dagger on the back of someone's forehand, which is incredibly painful. It's incredibly dangerous. And if you're talking about with armor, the other part too about this, again, we'll eventually have this. This, if I am right here, if this is the bell that we're talking about, essentially this allows, hand back up. Now I'm taking not only his hand, it's not pain compliance for hands, it's his entire gauntlet that I'm controlling right here. So I can manipulate, break his wrist, or do other things right here based upon the bell that we see within the gauntlet. Okay? So again, big thing about this is about making an immediate response on this. As soon as the person makes crossing on here, I've got to respond. I'm going into Mezzoporta di Ferro double crossed. And then depending off that, I can turn my feet, any manner of thing that I'm creative enough to create on this. Remember, there's effective strikes. So we can carry forth many different things here. Swap sides. Again, might look like I'm here. As soon as he comes into this, I grab the wrist. He doesn't want to go, I kick him in the groin, and then I bring him down with this, right? Again, if he doesn't want to go, I don't know why you wouldn't want to go. But, again, no effective strikes, okay? So from this position here, I control this. You can already tell, as soon as I touch this, and that's not comfortable. I'm not doing a lot. As soon as I touch this on his wrist, that's all I'm doing here is squeezing and rolling, and already he wants to shift forward this because he doesn't want to lose his arm. I can either A, drop straight back with an Avisamento to pull him to the ground, or in this case right here, I can put him into third master. And now I put myself behind him by turning, okay? And all that is off that covering. I'm here, arm up, across, I'm coming down with this. I'm gonna turn over, and now I've got his elbow, and I've got control, and he is in third master. So, third master, the counter to third master, is kind of third master, but the first thing they have to get there is utilizing Mezzoporta di Ferro double crossed. And it involves pain compliance to the back of someone's wrist or using the person's gauntlet against them. Again, if the person, it's about timing. So, one more time, switch it. If I pulled across and it's right here, I'm in position, I aim for his guts. At this point, I've got time. At this right here, if he starts to push my arm, I still have time because at this time as he's pushing me, I can step with. He can also step with me, but I'm saying that it's a matter about getting to the dagger. If he gets to third master completely, right here, where I can't, now if I try to turn into him, he's not going to let me. And that's not a good day for me. If his hand's coming across and he hasn't touched my face yet, he has not touched my face yet, so it's right here. I've got time, but not much. So remember, the time that we have to do this is very small as far as the window is concerned. It's immediate. And off of that covering mechanism, we are able to move into any other type of play that comes with the first master and into third master. I can lock him up again. I can strike him. Anything else off that, I can control him, or I can just go right back into the assault with the knife.
So you can see with the video that, again, I state in here that it's immediate. And I want to clarify something because I thought about this after I filmed that with Connor. Is when I say immediate, it's not that you planned this out and you're expecting this person to do this. I think that's a good way to get yourself killed. You have to go in this, and off of that contact, you have to then revolve into something else. So when I say immediate, I'm talking about your Avisamento. In that crossing, do you notice the person's fighting with you? Are they moving towards your face? And as you saw within like some of the defense pieces, has he started touching my face yet? Has he got another areas here? Is the arm still in place here, or am I too far away to reach in these places? That's a lot more about what I think this is talking about. And so when I say immediately, I'm not saying like you go in there and just do it. I think that's, like I said, that's a good way to get killed. So with this case right here, again, so we're looking at Avisamento, and I was also talking about how this right here also makes me consider so much about how Fiore's manuscript is also perhaps an indicator of how apprezzare is the totality of the art. This may be a controversial topic as far as discussion within the greater martial arts community with this right here, but for me, when Fiore is saying apprezzare, in the very beginning where he says that there's the two types of apprezzare, I don't believe that he is just saying in the grappling sections. I believe that he is saying that is the totality of what he's teaching here. If you look at everything that happens within apprezzare, every single play in apprezzare happens throughout the entire manuscript. The only thing that changes is the tool in hand that we're taking to task. So essentially, there is no sword fighting in Fiore in my eyes. What you have is he is fighting, and in his hands he happens to have a sword, right? So that means that instead of sword fighting, he is fighting with a sword. And there's ways to contend with that and deal with things. So with this third master counter, this right here just transforms a position where your hands might be, think about this. So if I'm here, this is a form of frontale. But the reason why I'm doing this right here is I have nothing to grab here. If I do this, this is very weak. So I'm trying to keep my hands forward. Because the dagger is this way, this is very strong. And that would just be a form of mezzo porta di ferro, double crossed. If it comes down, I'm in tutta porta di ferro as far as an apprezzare position, but I'm using the hand concepts. But it doesn't change away the fact that I'm going here, I'm going into a frontale, I might be dragging down into a porta di ferro. It's just saying I have changed my body to accommodate the task that's happening at me in this situation. And for me, the more I have looked at Fiore as learning about hand-to-hand, the more not only his source, but other sources that are around his time period, I guess you could say, also make a lot more sense. It's not, when I stop looking at, we're not fencing. Fencing is the theory that you take to your apprezzare when you are armed with a sword. And I think that kind of head shape right here kind of makes it so that, yes, the sword is still very dangerous. We have to respect the tool. But that also means that once we clear it, if we really want to preserve ourselves, it's the body that has to do it, has to contend with it. Is this what Lichtenauer meant when they talk about, in the Kunstfechten traditions where they say that wrestling is the foundation? I think so. So just with this right here, I feel we get a base that shows directly that. So anyway, with that being the case here, a little bit long drawn out there, I apologize. I think this was very fascinating, and I'm very curious to hear what people have to say. Again, the big part about this counter that works is one's Avisamento in line with your personal segno. At least that's how I teach it in my classes. In that essentially is like, if you don't have fortezza, are you even aware to do these things? Have you stepped the right way? Is there crossing certain ways here? If those four elements are out of balance, then you're not going to have the Avisamento that's there. And again, like I said before, plays in this right here only work in the event if you are balanced in that kind of contact, in that kind of conflict. So with that being the case here, just understand that Avisamento immediately happening doesn't mean right off the bat. It means when you have become aware of it, to me. So that's the big part of there as well. With that being the case, that's going to wrap up this video here. Please share your thoughts below. I'm very curious to hear what people have to think about when I talk about how Fiore's entire system is really just apprezzare, and that basically you're taking those tools and you're changing things up and you're layering defenses, interestingly enough, by having tools there, but it's all still the same mechanics. Very curious to hear what people have to say about that. I'm very curious what your thoughts are. Very curious to think what your thoughts are in regards to the concept that Avisamento is perhaps synonymous to the Lichtenauer traditions of Fühlen. Very interested to see about what people think in regards to how we have progressive stages of where this becomes not an option anymore to perform. So with that being the case here, please leave a comment below, leave a like, share with a friend, trying to grow the channel, and that is not possible without viewers like you. If you're new to the channel, welcome, and I hope that I hope you also feel comfortable enough to share your thoughts. Love to hear your thoughts out there. If you're a new practitioner, love to hear what you have to think, what you think about this. If you're a practitioner of Fiore or other systems out there, share what you have to say. Love to hear what you have to say about it. And with that, everybody, as always, please, until next time, stay safe out there, train well, and fight on. I'll see you all soon.